Your phone buzzes. You grab it so fast you almost drop it. Notification preview. 3 words. Not her name. You put it back down. It's been 4 days since she replied to anything. 4 days since, haha, yeah, we should do that sometime. A message that felt like a door closing softly instead of slamming shut. You've read it 11 times. You've typed 3 different replies and deleted all of them, because none of them sound casual enough, and casual has somehow become the hardest tone in the English language to fake. Here's the part that's going to bother you. She's not confused about how she feels. She liked the date. She laughed at the right places. She leaned in when you talked about your trip to Portugal. None of that was an act. So why does liking you and contacting you feel like 2 completely unrelated things to her? That question is the whole video. Stick around, because the answer isn't she's playing games. It's something most men never get explained to them in plain language. And once you see it, you'll never read a silent phone the same way again. If you want more breakdowns like this, hit subscribe now. It actually helps this video reach guys who are sitting exactly where you are right now, staring at the same 4-day-old message. By the end of this video, you'll walk away with 3 specific things. First, you'll understand the actual mechanism, the real psychological reason a woman can like you and still not initiate contact, so you stop building theories in your head that aren't true. Second, you'll have 5 concrete tools, not vague mindset talk, that change how she experiences contacting you, so reaching out stops feeling risky to her. Third, you'll have a 7-day plan you can start tonight that shifts the dynamic without a single manipulative tactic. Let's get into it. Section 1. The initiation gap. Behavioral psychology. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called the initiation gap. In any interaction, the person who reaches out first is making a small bet. They're risking a flat response, a delayed reply, or silence. Most people, not just women, manage this risk by calculating, often unconsciously, what's my probability of a good outcome if I send this? Here's the part that matters. Women are socialized, from a young age, to treat being the one who reaches out as a vulnerability they'll be judged for. Not because they don't want to talk to you, because somewhere in the back of her mind is a script that says, the guy who initiates with you was interested, the girl who initiates with him was needy. It's an unfair script. It's also a real one, and she's lived under it longer than you've been thinking about her phone. So when she likes you and still doesn't text, she's not testing you, she's doing math. And right now, your behavior is one of the inputs in that math. Concrete example. Say after your last date you texted, "Had a great time, you're funny." That's a complete sentence. There's nothing to respond to except, "You too." And now she has to generate a new topic from nothing, which raises her risk of the conversation feeling forced. Compare that to, "Had a great time. Tell me the real story behind the Portugal trip, because work thing was clearly not the full story." That's an open loop. It hands her an easy, low-risk way back into the conversation. The initiation gap doesn't close because she suddenly becomes braver. It closes because you make the first move cheaper for her. Section 2. The mere exposure misfire. Attraction psychology. There's a well-documented attraction principle called the mere exposure effect. Familiarity increases liking, up to a point. Most guys have heard a version of this and concluded, so I should text more, to build familiarity. That's the misfire. Mere exposure works when the exposure is positive and varied. It backfires when the exposure becomes predictable and low stakes, meaning she can guess exactly what kind of message is coming and exactly how the conversation will go before she opens it. Predictability doesn't build attraction. It builds a category. And once you're a category, the guy who checks in, contacting you stops being an event and starts being a chore, even if she likes you. This is genuinely not about playing hard to get. It's about what kind of exposure you're offering. Concrete example. If every message from you for 2 weeks is some version of, "Hey, How's your day going? She now has a folder in her head labeled check-in texts. And folders don't get excitement. They get, I'll reply later. But if one message is a genuine reaction to something specific, I just walked past the restaurant you said had the bad service and laughed out loud, people probably think I'm insane. That's not predictable. It's a moment, not a category. She replies to moments faster than she replies to maintenance. Section 3. Anxious attachment and the freeze response. Attachment psychology. This one surprises people. A lot of women who go quiet after a good connection aren't avoidant. They're anxiously attached. And anxious attachment doesn't always look like clinginess. Sometimes it looks like silence, because the fear of, what if I text and it goes wrong, becomes so loud that not texting feels safer than risking the good feeling she already has. If she really liked the date, the stakes just went up for her. The better it went, the more she has to lose by misreading it. So instead of reaching out and risking disappointment, she does what anxious attachment often does under pressure. She freezes and waits for the situation to resolve itself without her having to be the one who could be wrong. Concrete scenario. Picture Maya, 27. After a first date, she actually enjoyed for once. She opens her messages app 3 separate times that week to text the guy. Each time she stops, thinking, what if I seem too into it, and closes the app. It's not disinterest. It's a small private negotiation with her own fear of being misread, happening completely invisibly to him. He, meanwhile, is reading her silence as rejection, which is the exact opposite of what's actually happening behind her screen. This is the case study worth sitting with. 2 people who both wanted the same outcome, both going quiet, both assuming the other one had lost interest, neither one wrong about their own feelings, and both wrong about the others. If you've ever been in Maya's position, or you suspect she's in it right now, drop a comment with freeze, so I know how many of you have lived this exact moment from one side or the other. Section 4. The cost of a reply. Behavioral economics. Borrowing from behavioral economics. People don't just weigh whether they want to do something. They weigh the cost of doing it, relative to the benefit. A text that requires a thoughtful, paragraph-length response feels expensive. A text that requires 10 seconds and a laugh feels free. Here's where most men accidentally sabotage themselves without realizing it. They send messages that are emotionally loaded. I really enjoyed getting to know you. You seem like a genuinely good person, which, while sincere, demand an equally serious reply. She now has to either match that energy, which is effortful, or under-respond, which feels disrespectful to what you wrote. Both options have a cost, so she delays, and delay becomes silence, and silence becomes the thing you're now panicking about. Concrete example, instead of the heavy message, try something with a built-in low-cost reply, like sending a meme or short clip tied to an inside joke from your date, with the caption, "This is you, when the waiter brought the wrong order, don't deny it." That takes her 3 seconds to respond to and makes her smile doing it. You're not lowering the relationship's value, you're lowering the transaction cost of staying in touch with you, which is what actually keeps a connection alive between dates. Section 5. Calibrated curiosity, not withholding. Communication tactics. This is the part where most advice goes wrong, and I want to correct it directly. The answer isn't, disappear and make her chase you. That approach relies on anxiety, and anxiety-based attraction burns out fast, and often turns into resentment once she figures out the game. The actual skill is called calibrated curiosity, leaving specific, genuine open threads instead of generic silence. The difference is intent and specificity. Withholding says, I'm giving you less, so you want more. Calibrated curiosity says, I'm giving you something real, but I'm leaving room for you to engage with it. One is manipulation dressed as confidence. The other is just good communication. Concrete example. At the end of a date, instead of, I'll text you, try, I'm going to hold you to trying that ramen place you mentioned. I'll send you the name of the one I was telling you about. That's a promise with a specific, trackable follow-up, which gives her a built-in, low-risk reason to bring it up herself if you're slow to send it. Hey, you still owe me that ramen place. You've created an opening without asking her to do the emotional labor of starting from zero. The 7-day action plan. Here's how this becomes real instead of just information you nodded along to. Step 1. Today. Look at your last 5 messages to her. Identify which ones were maintenance texts, with no open loop, and rewrite how you'd send them differently next time, using a specific reference instead of a generic check-in. Step 2. This week. Send exactly one low-cost, high-specificity message, a callback to something only the two of you would find funny. Not a paragraph, not an apology for not texting sooner, just a moment. Step 3. Within the week. If you made any kind of "I'll send you that thing" promise on your last interaction, follow through on it unprompted, and let it double as your next contact instead of manufacturing a new excuse to reach out. That's it. No disappearing acts, no scorekeeping, no performance. So go ahead, pick the phone back up. The message is still sitting there. Haha, yeah, we should do that sometime. Read it one more time, but read it differently now. That's not a closing door. That's a low-cost, low-risk thread she left open, because reaching any further than that felt expensive to her in that moment. You don't need to wait by the phone, and you don't need to disappear to prove a point either. You need one specific, low-cost, real moment. The ramen place, the inside joke, the thing only the two of you would laugh at, and you hand her back the easiest yes she's had all week. If this helped you see your own situation differently, tell me in the comments what your version of "haha, yeah, we should do that sometime" looked like. I read every one. And if you want the next breakdown like this one, subscribe, because there's a lot more of this conversation worth having.